Ladies and gentlemen, FAB 2.0 is here, and it is a doozy. Look, if you were expecting a change in distribution models between First Edition and Unlimited, well, your expectations were met with this overall 2.0 launch. If you wanted some announcement talking about the casual scene and the way that the casual audience of the game could be expanded or supported, believe it or not, you actually got that as well. If you wanted information on formats and maybe a new format, well, you got that as well. Like, literally, this announcement encompasses so much as far as Flesh and Blood and what the game means and is going to mean going forward, that it's kind of insane. And in all respects, I'm going to say it, in all respects, this announcement is incredibly optimistic. Now, that's my opinion. If you disagree, leave it down in the comments below. I want to know your take on the entire thing, what you like and what you don't like. But let's break it all down. So first of all, it's been 2.5 years since Flesh and Blood released. Over that time, passionate fans of hardworking local game stores across more than 30 countries have joined us in delivering in our mission to bring people together in the Flesh and Blood through the common language of playing great games. Now, I just want to stop here and say this. I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to hit the highlights, and a couple of parts that I thought are really well written and very much the heart of this announcement. But this is important to set the stage. Flesh and Blood is approaching its 3-year anniversary, and there's a lot of sentiment in the just TCG space that trading card games and other games in general, collectible card games, most of them live for 3 years and then die, or don't even get to the 3-year mark and die before that. And here we have an announcement for Flesh and Blood that shows that there's absolutely no slowing down in this department, and only rapid and huge and meaningful expansion for much of the player base and so on and so forth. So I think that's really cool. Now, they go into this detail of like what FAB 2.0 is in this section, and really FAB 2.0 is not just one specific thing. It's not just looking at the model of release. It's not just changing when sets release or anything like that. It is a huge collection of changes that they are making to better support the delivery of our mission over the coming years. This is really cool. It is absolutely insane, and it starts with this, probably the biggest portion of the announcement as far as what we're going to see within Flesh and Blood going forward, and that's how they handle First versus Unlimited editions. They are retiring both First Edition and Unlimited, and instead they are combining the two into just one product, the product. They are saying there was really not enough of a difference between First Edition and between Unlimited when you got into the nitty-gritty. And because that was the case, where you were not having real palpable changes outside of, like a couple of alt arts or the cold foil, which is the big differentiation, they have to revisit their model, and they could do one of two things, or really one of several things. They could just release First Edition and Unlimited on the same day, and have two different price points and have two different types of products. They could have like a more expensive version, like a collector's box, and then a normal version, like a draft box. James White says no, he doesn't want that, which is hilarious. I think this is so funny. And I think this is really cool too, because I actually kind of agree with this. I would rather them not have two products, because I don't want to pay extra for fanciness or pay like less just to get the product. I'd rather have all of that kind of taken away. It's like the ice cream problem. When you have 40 flavors of ice cream and 40 different products that are all sort of the same but different in little ways, you're not happy with any of them, because they're not quite what you want. But when you have like one option, well, you're just eating ice cream at that point. I know that probably doesn't resonate with some people, but like deep down in your subconscious, that's how it works. And this to me is the same way. Like, I personally don't care for there being two separate products being released at the same time, and I would much rather them have one product that anyone can purchase, that anyone can open, and that anyone can feel the feeling of opening a super rare cold foil, which they have changed overall how this product is going to look. We'll talk about going forward, but I have to stop and say this. The next set, which is releasing June 24th, is called Uprising, and we just yesterday got an article detailing, sorry, it was more of a lore article detailing the story so far as the Demonastery fighting and just beating down Solana. And Solana is sort of being scattered amongst the world of Wraith and looking for allies to try and stop this push on their land by the Demonastery and the loss of life that is the people of Solana. So they're going to be, in the lore, searching for allies, trying to ask the great empires, this is what I think they called them, for aid and showing off their capabilities so that they can hopefully get the aid of these larger allies in different regions. And Uprising is the name of the next set. What this may lead to, who knows, but they could be, going and seeking the help of those in Volcor, or maybe I would probably venture to guess, based on a couple of clues, that they're going to be going to Metrics and therefore the Pits, which are sort of synonymous and connected together. And if that's the case, we may see some assassin stuff, some Metrics and Pit stuff on June 24th. There's not going to be a first edition and unlimited for this product. There's just going to be the product. And when you purchase it, you can open it up. You have a chance of getting cold foil and rainbow foil equipment. You're going to have a chance for the Fabled, of course, alternate versions of cards, and I'm just gonna venture to guess and say that the alternate versions of cards here referred to is going to be a lot more prevalent and a lot more variant filled, and they even say that these are the most impressive alts that they have done yet, which is fantastic, and we're in for a big surprise. I think they're really gonna just up the wow factor of the set and allow people to open one type of product and have a wide variety of different things you can find in the set. It's kind of like what they were hinting at with Everfest, and the fact that you could get like these as cold foils, you could get like alt arts, you could get carnival slot cards. If they just took that to like the nth degree, I feel like that's what they're hinting at with this product. And it's going to be really interesting because they're saying that Legendary and Fabled cold foils are now 3 times rarer than they have historically been. And if you don't pull one of those, don't worry. If you're trying to search out that legendary piece of equipment that you really need, they are printing in the same exact box, in the same exact set, rainbow foil versions that are slightly more frequent than what we see right now. If I remember the numbers correctly, and I don't remember where they post, oh, it's right here. It's literally right here. The number breakdown is very fascinating. They're not saying the Fable and the rainbow foil drop rates, but if we extrapolate what we've kind of calculated in the past, this was like 1 in 40 boxes. So this is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. Which is super cool because the value of this card going forward will be incredible. It's going to be incredible. Legendary cold foils are now 1 per 220 packs. So what is that? Like 10 boxes or something crazy like that. 96. Yeah, I'm not going to do the math. Who cares? Someone can do the math down there for me. Let me know in the comments below. But the rainbow foil versions of the same exact legendaries are going to be 1 per 80 packs. This is actually less than, more frequent than the previous pull rate, because I think the previous pull rate was 1 per 96 packs. So now you could have a more decent shot of pulling 2 rainbow foils in a case, which is really interesting. 2 rainbow foil legendaries in a case. I don't think they changed these. I'm not quite sure. This one, 1.75 per pack. I think that's always been like that because you can get 2 rares in a pack. I'll have to revisit that. I'm not sure. They're changing the way they do tokens. They're guaranteeing that there's still a cold foil per box. Guaranteeing with quotes that there's still a cold foil per box. They're always giving you a rainbow foil, and for most things, there's 16 total cards. Now, that's not going to be for one of the things we'll talk about going forward. I just want to point this out as well. They hint at something going on here. This is like a strange border, because the border is like a normal generic border, but it's like purpley gunmetal gray, which we haven't really seen yet. We also get this amazing little shape, this little triangle, which they talk about right here, this new rarity symbol, which is a purple triangle, or he thinks of it as a half diamond. By the way, James wrote this article, James White himself. And this little diamond refers to a new rarity, which is a Marvel rarity, and that is basically going to be used for high tier alt versions of cards going forward. So basically, I could pull one out. And they talk about it right here, like Aether Wildfire had the extended art version, and then a couple of other cards like Pulverize had the extended art version. Herald of Erudition had that hidden extended art version. This is going to be the symbol on that card going forward, which is really cool. And if you want to get crazy with it, you could look up this artist right here and see if there's anything that might give away some future stuff. I haven't done it yet, but that's something I have on the back burner I'm going to be doing. This is a crazy cool change and one that I very much like. Also, and this is a small change here that I should talk about, the way that they're doing the cold foil is the cold foil are going to take up the token slot so that when you draft, you keep the token and you don't have to draft the cold foil and take up one of your draft slots just to get the cold foil and then, like, you know, knock your draft overall, which I think is cool. I like that. They also mentioned this. They avoid value drafting that damages the integrity of booster drafts. Please note this means cold foils are not considered part of the cards you've drafted and cannot be played, which is interesting, in booster draft. So just keep that in mind. But cold foils can be included in your deck and or equipment while playing a sealed deck. So that's very fascinating in and of itself. I like that. I think that's a fun way of doing it. So now you don't have to draft like that legendary equipment that you may not actually be able to use in the last pack of a draft. You still draft it though. Come on, like you still draft it. Now you don't even have to. You just get it because it's like your token, which I think is cool. Also, just to remind you, if you were thinking, oh, cool, they're going to do some reprint of like Fables and stuff like that in cold foil. No, they're never going to do that. That's like why they say this. They're not going to reprint cold foil. So if you had a cold foil before, it's not going to get reprinted, which actually leads very well to this next part. And the next part is this. They're releasing, and this was spoiled a few hours beforehand, they're releasing the history packs, history sets. I don't know what they called it. I forget. But they're releasing this entire like history set, which is essentially just I want to call these unlimited reprints because it's kind of more like unlimited essentially. But essentially they're doing white border versions of cards that are going to all be non-foil and are all staples, and they're all releasing in a set, and it's these cards. History Pack's a booster set that includes reprints of cards from these three sets: Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Crucible of War. So if your friend wants to get into the game but doesn't want to spend the money on a Fiendal Spring Tunic because it's out of print and really expensive, well, they can buy this product and hopefully pull it, or this product allows the price to be cheaper in the long run for all cards like this. And these are all fantastic examples because they are all pricey cards. Like an unlimited Rainbow Foil Gorganian Tome is like crazy. Have you seen that price? It's like crazy for like the single card. It's kind of crazy. And so now you don't have to worry necessarily of that. Now, if you're like a super collector, and this is what I'm interested in. If you're like a big collector, I want to know your opinion on this, because here's my thought. My thought is this. You have a white border set that releases, and they print Gorganian Tome, for example. Let's just say Gorganian Tome. They print a ton of them. And overall, like the market gets filled with these white border Gorganian Tomes. Is the thought that the white border being so prevalent diminishes the black border? Because I'm not necessarily sure that it does. All of these white border copies are always going to be separate. They're always going to be different. They're not going to be the original. They're not even going to be the black border unlimited print run version. And so I feel like, yes, maybe in the short term, all prices of cards, come down. But then, in my opinion, and based on how I'm seeing it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the black borders just go right back up after a certain point to where they were before, if not even further, because now you have more of these white borders and you have the desire with the increased player base to go and find those black border older cards, which I think is just really cool. Also, this history pack thing is really, I think the biggest thing about this product is that it allows for players across the world in new countries or in countries that haven't had the consistent card availability to jump into the game in a new and real way. And not only that, but they're also printing these in different languages. So they're printing these in all these languages. Yes, there is an English one, but they're printing it in other languages, allowing new players and new communities to grow in their own language, which is fantastic. I don't know how you don't like this part of it. I'm not sure. I wonder if everybody's kind of on board, because for me, like, this is a slam dunk. Like, you release a new player product in multiple languages in underserved countries. Like, for example, I have consistently seen posts asking for Flesh and Blood to come to like Brazil and Mexico and things like that. It's like, this is a product that allows that immediately to start, like communities immediately to form by buying this product and then opening this product. So like, for me, this seems like a slam dunk. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comment below. I think it's fantastic. And not only that, these waves are actually going to have a black label version, a black border version first. And like, from that point, then they will not, which is really interesting. So like, players from those countries can actually grab black border cards released in the history packs first, which I think is great. I think that's really, really cool. I'm a big fan of it. I want to know what other people think. I've heard mixed reactions to this, and I know there's precedent in the Magic the Gathering community early on in the game where, you know, a set called Chronicles was not very well received, or from what I can tell. I don't know enough about it to speak to it, so let me know in a comment below what you know about it. This is where, for me, my hype level went through the roof. Holy crap, part 2. Playing the game is about more than competitive play. Yes. Yes, it is. Competitive play in this game is fantastic, but it's about more than that. 100% it's about more than that. And not only is it about more than that within the game, it's about more than that with the lore, with the marketability. Everything about this game is fantastic as far as like the level that they put into it and the dedication they have. It's about more than just competitive play, and they know that, which is fantastic. So they talk about that they want to invest more into storytelling, world building, character development, and integration of lore into the play experience. I've been saying this for like a year, and I'm not the only person saying it, so I'm not taking credit for this at all, but I've been saying this for a year. This game is so... what's the word? It's so connectable. You want to connect to it. You want to invest yourself into the lore and the characters and things like that. It's so much like the old Legend of the Five Rings thing. And being able to do this right here, products that offer play experiences that bring fans into the adventure, conflicts, and story arcs that are happening within the world of Wraith, 100% something that they should be pursuing. And the fact that they see that is insane. More lore books, yes, more lore books, and we've already seen the first step towards that with this new set that they talk about right here. Classic Battles is going to have a lore booklet in it, and that's what I really do feel like. This is a great way, another great way to bring people in. People enjoy investing in fantasy stories, okay? It's great escapism, especially when it's done well and when it's written well and when characters are likable. And the game has that already. And so why not invest in it? And they do. They are. And this is great. They're investing in characters that we know and love. We're already seeing this. Bravo showed back up. Dorinthia Reinar are showing up. They're going to do more of these products. They're going to do more classic battles. So we can expect that to be delved into, that's the word, even more. And so this entire paragraph, I'm like over the moon about. The same thing goes for this. And I know there's a ton of people that are going to eat this alive. They're going to love this section, and I'm one of them, because PvE has been talked about by so many different people and so many different channels and so many different forums and things like that. And the way that they pitch it right here, even better. It will see players band together in campaign settings that can be as long or as short as your party wants. Just take that in for a moment. It's party-based like you would expect, but it's a campaign setting that is variable. This is not like, okay, it's one product, it's a boss fight, and you're done. This is a step-by-step campaign, and how deep they go into it is you know, up to them. But the fact that they're wording it like this means that they're viewing it like this. And that is huge, absolutely huge, for whatever PvE will look like in the coming year or two. It's not about winning or losing, but having an epic adventure with your friends and fellow gamers. How do you not look at this and go, that is a fantastic way to grab people into the world? If you get people in the world, you get people into the base game. If you get people in the base game, then you have, well, a larger player base. And also more people at these events that they're holding. Even if they're not competing competitively, they're competing in all the side events casually, that's great. Because you're still getting people together in the flesh and blood to play great games. Like, this is the point, and it's so good that they nailed all of this. I'm floored. Then we have this. This is a thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is my least favorite part of the article. They're gonna change the way UPF is organized. So UPF's now with Blitz decks. Okay, there you go. Blitz decks UPF. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not crazy about this. I was crazy about this before I played so many games of UPF. Like this deck. This deck is the Blitz UPF Prism deck that I played a year ago. And back then I was like, cool, UPF like Blitz? I think that's where it belongs. But the more I've played 60 card UPF, the more I kind of like 60 card UPF. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like it. So going back to 40 cards is going to be interesting. I'll talk to the guys and see if they want to do our next UPF as 40 cards just so we can feel it. But I already built my deck and we're playing in like 4 days. So whoops. Okay. Anyway, yes, UPF is still pretty cool, and it's a fantastic format that if you're not playing multiplayer Flesh and Blood, you need to. Also, if you wanted them to like clarify what Commoner is, they clarified what Commoner is, which is crazy. Commoner is a 40 card deck with common cards only in it. So there's no like 6 rares, there's no like this thing can go in that thing, just 40 card deck. There's 11 inventory slots. You can include up to 2 rares, and all other cards must be common. Okay, so token weapons are common as well. So 2 rares, which means you can play your 2 Centauri Sabers. That's literally what that means. You could also play a rare weapon if you wanted to do like the what is it? The pistol, not the pistol, the rifle. Why did I blank on that big old plasma barrel shot? You can play that. You play Talishar, of course. You need to have Talishar accessible. 1 young hero card can be rare or common. This part sucks because I really want to play Shiana in like commoner, but you can't because she's a legendary. But that's okay. You can play all the other heroes, right? There's no majestic. Oh crap! You can't play Icelander in commoner. No, what? You can't play Icelander in commoner. Oh, this makes me so sad. Wait, we need to rethink this. Let's go back to the drawing board. No, you can't play Icelander. You can't play Genus. Oh, dude, you can't play Valda. Oh no, we gotta fix this, guys. Let's go back to the drawing board. Okay. Anyway, you have the normal Blitz setup. There's a separate banned and suspended list. They changed it. It's not restricted now. It's suspended. I like that. And then there's a time limit as well, which is great. Okay, I'm just going to say this. This is the new best format for introducing players to Flesh and Blood. And it's weird because I was talking about this like 3 days ago with someone, and I was like, this is the better format for introducing. Just don't drop people in with Blitz. Drop them in with Commoner and go from there. And I think they're recognizing that. This straight up is the best way to introduce players to the game. They talk about a very kind of like laid back rules enforcement for casual events, which is cool. And then they hit on ELO. Okay, so this is part 3. I know we're just cruising through part 3. They changed the way that ELO works. So if you're like big into competitive play, gathering up all those ELO points, essentially you can break down everything with this. I know this is just kind of a ton, but it's so good. Everything here is so good because it shows that they're looking at all of this. And that's exactly what they should be doing, because this is the game that they are focusing on. They're not like a large scale, LSS is not a large scale company that is running multiple games, multiple projects. This is what their aim is. This is how they're delivering on their vision. And the fact that they're showing and looking at all of this, fantastic. This is good to know all of these stats now, so that you can look at your ELO ratings and see what it applies to based on these large-scale events, which is cool. Banned and restricted list. I don't think actually this changed anything as far as banned and restricted on the lists. What it really does is it says that they're not going to maintain a secondary Blitz format restricted list. They're just going to suspend things on one single list, I believe. Let me double check. Who hasn't to use it, even though there's been merits to doing so, because it's simply cleaner for player and tournament official comprehension and officiating if a card is simply legal or not legal. Therefore, they are retiring the concept of a restricted list and replacing it with suspended cards, which we will be introduced to Classic, Constructed, and Blitz, which is great. I think that makes sense to kind of narrow everything down and just go from there, which I think is really cool. They don't want to change anything to Blitz because they feel like it's in reasonable shape, which I would agree. I think it is definitely in reasonable shape. overall. I guess the main things that are, banned are still banned. There is no like suspended or restricted list. And then we come to another divisive part of this list, and one that I actually think is really cool after you take the step past what it means. Because what it's essentially saying is when a hero hits Living Legend, they're not just going to go by themselves. They're going to walk away into the sunset with their weapon as well. And they've given the weapons for each of the heroes and what they would be taking along with them. So, for example, if you wanted to know what Icelander's weapon is, she's going to ride off into the sunset with Kraken's Aether Vein if she ever rotates out. Same thing for Briar, Warden of Thorns. If you don't like Rosetta Thorn, then you need to start playing Briar and get it banned. No, get it to Living Legend status, we'll put it that way. Now, the immediate reaction to this that I saw from a lot of people was one of, oh no, we're going to lose our weapons. But there's a counter argument to this, and that's understanding what the Living Legend status promises. And what it promises is this: if Bravo Showstopper rides off into the sunset, there will be another Guardian hero printed. And what we've seen, based on the way that they've printed heroes already, is that it's not necessarily a brand new hero stepping into the limelight, but perhaps a different version of the same hero in a changed way, or in a different part of their life, or in some way, shape, or form utterly transformed. Will that hero receive a new weapon to go with them? Maybe, probably, who knows? But these weapons, because of that possibility, may not be gone for long. And so for me, the way I look at this possibly being a scenario where these weapons may rotate along with their heroes, but they may also come back into play if their hero comes back into play in a new form. So it could be really sad to see Kasai Centauri Sellsword go with her Centauri Sabers, because now you can't access Centauri Sabers with Bolton, for example. But that's not necessarily the case if they bring Kasai Centauri Sellsword back in some other form. She may bring her Centauri Sabers back. Now, they could also just reprint Centauri Sabers, but different. It's like what they're doing with Dawnblade Resplendent, which we'll see in the Classic Battles set. They could do that as well. But I do think that there is a world that we live in where this list right here for weapons is not end-all be-all and gone for good. So that's what I'm very curious to see as well. It won't be long before we begin farewelling heroes from Classic Constructed and Blitz and welcoming them into the Living Legend Hall of Fame. And if that happens, they talk again about their plan to have an official format for those heroes being able to kind of battle out in that as well. They talk about seasonal programs and the idea that they want like seasonal, basically, because it has been quite some time since that the original article was published and many new players have joined FAB, I want to take this opportunity to remind the community that as the number of events increases for programs like Skirmish, ProQuest, and RTNs, the Living Legend points will likely, per event, will likely decrease. So basically what they're saying with this chunk right before you get to the end is that they're going to be tweaking the numbers as more events are, put onto the calendar. And you can actually look at what it stands at right now, which now has its own page, which is really cool. You can actually go to Heroes, and you can see down there they have their own page. I believe they've also added the commoner format here to formats. It's the same thing. I don't think they made any other changes that I noticed. Oops, I clicked a button. I didn't mean to click that button. And of course, this is all signed and put out there by James White. So an absolute smorgasbord of craziness and good stuff to be had across the board. This is far more than I expected them ever to talk about. I expected this much. Like, I expected this much to be covered. And then they gave us 2 more pages of basically what is a love letter to the players of the game and to the future of the game and how they're dedicated to creating something that you want to be in, and a world that you want to invest in, and heroes that you want to kind of see what they do and how they change through a variety of formats and means. It's a crazy announcement, and one that I enthusiastically and overwhelmingly support. I want to know your opinions on it, your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the entire thing, feel free to make a number, go to a number. Look, one more person pressing one red button can make this number change to a slightly larger but much more round number. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.